Welcome, welcome, welcome to Aunt Majority. I'm Shay.
And I'm Shannon. Welcome to our channel. We're so happy to have you with us today. On our channel, we talk about anything and everything to make your life a little bit better, such as law of attraction, such as spirituality, such as spiritual awakening. And we are really glad to have you with us today for our little chat.
Yes, let's get into it.
So usually Shay and I have a kind of a set idea of what we're going to talk about before we begin. But I wanted this week to be a little bit spontaneous. And it's because I really am hoping to do a little bit of something that we were attempting to do last week, but we weren't getting correct. And by last week, I don't mean our video. I mean, last week, Shay and I decided we were going to do a series on the chakras, the different chakras, and we still are. But we went about doing some video and it just didn't feel right what we were presenting. It just didn't. And what I realized afterwards is it's because really what the world needs from us, every one of us, is just our true, authentic self. And it is the only thing that actually will ever resonate with anybody, is to show the world you, yourself, your soul, and to just help people understand that we're actually all the same. We're actually so connected, and anything that happens to one of us happens to all of us. So as we were talking about our root chakra in our video that we didn't quite get through, actually we did make one, we just weren't happy with it. I really just wanted to go back to the premise of really what we were trying to get to, which is how do you go about healing that root trauma? And by root trauma, what do I mean is anything and everything that shakes your security, anything and everything that makes you feel less worthy as a being, anything that makes you feel like you don't belong here on earth or you're not safe here on earth. And it made me think about a few years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long, Shay, but it has been almost 3 years ago now that you and I actually began a journey of healing the root of our entire family. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful process. And it began actually one afternoon. Shay and I decided that we wanted to do a ritual and call out to our ancestors to assist us. And we went down to the beach in front of my lake, and we drew a big circle, and we brought down some items to represent the elements, and we literally cried out to the universe. Did we not, Shay? We did. And then we asked our ancestors to show up. We asked them to help us heal the trauma that we've had in our family. Because what we know is this, people will disappoint us in life, people will hurt us in life, but the ones that actually really affect us when this happens, it's our family. It's our family. That's the ones that can really hurt us in a way that no one else can. And as we looked back in the roots of our family, what we could see is a passing down of pain, a passing down of trauma, damaged beings raising more damaged beings, if that makes sense. And I think we all experience this to some extent. I think we all do. And part of what I wanted to do today was just both acknowledge the assist that we've gotten from our ancestors in getting this far, Shay, in our beautiful journey, but also I just wanted to remind us all and to encourage us all when it comes to those family traumas, you can be the one to break that cycle. You can be the one to decide and to understand that the ones that raised you We're raised by those who were hurt also. And what do we know? Hurt people hurt people. And every being in your line probably was doing the best that they could. I'll speak for myself, just as a daughter, as a mother. My upbringing included a lot of abandonment. And at a real young age, I ended up essentially feeling like no one cared about me. Not one single person loved me. Not one single person was concerned about me. And I had to get to a point where I decided I was going to be the one to be that person to love and care for and nurture myself. But it's taken a lifetime to get there. And I've made so many mistakes along the way. And I've definitely passed down trauma to my own children in a way I never would have wanted to. It's just that a hurt person and a damaged person can only pass on what they know. So it's up to us to decide that we are no longer going to do those things. It's up to us to break that chain of neglect, of abuse, of pain, however major or minor it might be. We all have our different experiences. So I just want to remind you, divine being, that actually you have the power to choose to love yourself. You no longer have to manifest things in your life to prove to yourself how worthy you are. You no longer have to call people into your life that are going to hurt you. You no longer have to call people into your life that are going to abandon you. You no longer have to look around to the outside to see if you're worthy. You don't need to. Don't do it anymore. Say instead, I am worthy of all things. I am important to the universe. The universe sees me. Every single thing I do is seen and witnessed by the universe. Everything I do is cherished. I am an important part of this earth. I am an important part of the experience we're all having on this earth. And I'm worthy. And I can be loved because I can love myself. And I no longer need to look to outside things to decide if I am worthy of living and being. And I just want to call that in for all of us. I want to call that in for our family. And part of breaking that chain is taking full responsibility for yourself and your choices and your actions. So I just want to take full responsibility for every moment, every mistake that I made, every moment of pain, every bit of trauma that I've passed on to those that I came to care for and love, to those in my family. It was never my intent to hurt. It wasn't. And the things that I've done that have hurt you, it's probably because I was hurt and trying to either protect myself or do something that balanced the situation in some way. And I was just doing the best I could. It was never you. Just know that. It was never you. And how do I know that it was never you? Because those that harmed me and hurt me, I know it wasn't me. I didn't bring that on. I didn't. There was nothing about me that actually caused my own abandonment. There was nothing about myself or just me as a human. It was actually those that abandoned me. They were the ones that actually were hurting. They're the ones that are messed up, not me. And so this is how I know this is true for you as well. Put the responsibility on those who actually did the action and forgive them. And that's it. Because holding on to some anger or bitterness against them, all that's doing is hurting you. All that's doing is hurting your vibration, changing you to be manifesting more negativity. So we forgive them and it doesn't condone anything. And it doesn't mean you have to have someone in your life who's harmed you. But when you can just forgive and let go of all of that and decide, this is not a thing I need to pass on anymore. I may have been taught a certain way to be. I may have been taught limiting beliefs. I may have been brought up thinking that I am not worthy. I may have been thinking in shame. I may have been thinking in fear, but I no longer have to do that anymore. I can decide to live a beautiful, worthy life for no other reason than I want to be happy. And that is it. And that's really, when we think about healing our root trauma, that's what it looks like. It's calling in all the things that you have done to damage your own root and others. It's taking responsibility, it's owning those things, but also it's understanding that you are worthy of love just because you're here, just because you're here. And each one of us can connect to each other, to the source, and know this for ourselves, despite what our reality shows us, despite what the people around us show us, despite if your family doesn't accept you, despite what has been told to you about if you're good enough, if you're acceptable, if you're worthy, if you're lovable, despite anything any other person has said to you about those things, you can believe in yourself anyway. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. At the end of the day, you're really the only one that can do those things to the point of filling you up and making you live that beautiful life of joy and happiness that I know that you want. And that's really the main thing I wanted to say this morning, Shae. I'm not sure how you can even react to that, but
thank you. And I want to say to anybody who is feeling anything in their body right now, I'm going to just invite us all to sit up nice and tall, palms face down to help us ground into that root. And I just invite us all to take a deep breath into that space at the base of your spine, into your root chakra. Inhale through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. Let's do that twice more and just release anything that may be sitting in this area, anything that is no longer serving you. One more breath. And exhale, let it all go. Place your hands on your heart and repeat internally or externally. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Repeat that as many times as what feels necessary to forgive yourself, forgive others in your life. And then just notice how it feels to give the forgiveness, whether it be to yourself or to another. We have the ability to remove these blockages in our own body with our breath, with our mind. We are the ones that are in control of our own reality. And so I just thank you for everything that you said. And it really is just this radical responsibility for your own life. And as soon as you start pointing the finger outward, right? We've said this before, that is the release of the power. It was this person that made me do this. It was this person who made me do this. Start pointing the finger in and realize that you are your own hero.
Yes.
That when you are able to claim your life as yours and portray and mirror this reality of beauty and abundance and authenticity, right? Because you're so right. We were born here to be us. And so the more you can shed those layers of what doesn't feel good the more you can get down to the root of who you really are and what your gifts are and what you are here for, the better off the world, the better off your life, the better off your family line, because you are being exactly what you were created for.
Yeah, that's it. It's owning your power. We've talked about that before. Truly owning your power means not letting one other person, nobody, ever tell you how to feel about you. It means accepting that the energy inside your body is yours to own, it's yours to control. You can decide to forgive, you can decide to live a different way. You can decide to live a life where you love yourself, where you know that you're worthy. And this takes work.
I was just
And it takes forgiveness of others. It takes forgiveness of self. We've all done things and said things that we wish we wouldn't have. We all have. And we've all had things said and done to us we wish wouldn't have been said and done. We all do. That's just part of the human experience. So the question really becomes, what do we do with those things? Do we decide all of those things that have been done? And there's definitely things that have been done to us that we didn't deserve. There's for sure things we've been lied to. Every one of us has been betrayed by somebody. Every one of us has had somebody walk away from us when we needed that. Every one of us has had somebody we count on not show up for us. And sometimes it's our family, and sometimes it's our friends, and sometimes it's someone we love, our partner. It doesn't matter. When those things happen, they create all these traumas within us. And so many times we take those things on us as if we're messed up and that's why it happened. That we're somehow deserving of that hurt. We're somehow deserving. We somehow weren't good enough, or we weren't worthy enough for that person's attention or love. And this is where we can't think that way. We can decide to think a different way about it. We can decide when somebody walks away from us or abandons us or hurts us, we can decide to know that it's them. And we can give them space to have that and still protect our own energies.
Yes, it's a practice of not taking things personally. And
Yeah.
realizing that it isn't you, it is them. And just, it's radical responsibility for yourself, but handing that power off to the next person too. And helping them realize that it is their responsibility. Whatever their actions are, that's up to them. And that's going to create whatever it creates. But who can we be in control of is ourselves.
And it's always a new day. There's always a new chance for a beginning. It doesn't matter how it's gone in the past. Some of the times that we refuse to go apologize, it's pride. It's pride. We don't want to be wrong. And sometimes we've dug in real hard about some position that we have decided to hold. And we get all prideful about it and we hurt others, and we don't want to back off of that because we'd have to expose that weakness in ourselves, or we'd have to expose our own ill intent towards somebody. And we don't necessarily like to admit that, or we don't like to face ourselves on some of those things. But it's that type of thinking that ends up getting our own heart hurt. It's that what we've said before about what you put out in the world is what you get back. So when you refuse to forgive, this is the same energy that's going to come back to you. Somebody might have a hard time forgiving you then.
And I just want to invite anybody who, if you're somebody listening to this and this is eliciting thoughts of times when or moments right now when you haven't forgiven yourself, when you haven't forgiven something else, see where that lies in your body, because all of that, we are in these beautiful vessels that store energy. And so when we don't release, when we hold things, when we harness things, these things manifest into our physical bodies.
Yes, the body holds the score.
Yes, your body holds the score. Exactly. And so I just invite you to explore where you're holding in your body, and that's where you know you need to begin to work.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Suggesting this is easy, right? It's not, but it's worth it You're worth it. You're worth this work. And you will feel so much better after. And it's a practice. Don't be hard on yourself. Every moment is a time to begin. Every single moment.
Every moment is the moment to let go of those wounds. Every moment is to start to disassociate yourself from those wounds. That's not you. You're not your wounds. You're not your trauma. You don't have to be. And sometimes we really associate our personality, and we end up associating ourselves with, well, I'm that wounded person. And so we get real integrated with that, and we take that on as a part of ourselves, and it becomes a wound that we just can't close then, because we've called ourselves that. We've called ourselves that wounded person. You don't actually have to hold those wounds. You don't have to carry those around anymore. It's possible to heal. It's possible to decide not to have those. And I understand trauma sits in the body. You got to move it on out. There's things that you can do to move it out besides deciding, but deciding is the first part. Once you've decided to move that trauma on out of your body, then you go through the process of doing so. You either go see your physician, go see a counselor, talk to your loved one, do some physical practice, whatever it is that you have to do to move that energy out or to get that out of you. Decide to do it, and decide that you don't need to carry those things around anymore, because they're just hurting your own worthiness. And that ends up just basically stopping any positive manifestation you might be trying to create in your life, because you're holding on to that negative energy. When you're holding on to the wounds, when you're holding on to the traumas, when you're holding unforgiveness in your heart, it actually damages your heart. So we've talked about like where the damages show up in your body all over the place. When we think about where do we store the various traumas we've experienced, all we're saying is you can decide to live a different way.
Yeah.
You can get help for those, and you should, but it's definitely a mindset, and it starts there. It starts with being worthy enough, thinking of yourself as being worthy enough for healing, for happiness, and knowing you can live a joyful life. You don't have to actually pass down the traumas that you've experienced from others. You don't have to. And actually, it feels amazing not to. It feels amazing to actually close that loop and know, hey, I've started something new. I've started a new way to be, and it's never too late. It doesn't matter, actually. I've mainly raised my children to adulthood, and still this process goes on. Still, the relationships I have with my own children are ongoing. Still, I have things to be forgiven for. Still, I have things to take responsibility for. This is a never-ending process. I own all of that, and I want to own all of that. And just same with you. Own what's yours. Don't own what's not yours. If somebody else has created a trauma upon you, if somebody else has impressed their fears, their shame, all of that onto you, they projected it onto you, you don't actually have to accept that and pass that on to those that you love and that you care for. You have the power.
We are all artists, all creators of our life. And so it is up to you to create the space for yourself, for this self-exploration, for this self-inquiry, to decide, make decisions within yourself of what is actually yours to keep and what was put on you and it doesn't even belong to you. This is why we talk so much about just creating time and space to do nothing except for be, because those are the moments when you are able to actually go into your own consciousness and deal with these things. I mean, there's so many distractions in this world that we have, that we're in. It's so important just to make space to be.
Just to be. And to listen to the things that you're saying to yourself in your head, to listen to the commentary. Is your commentary building you up? And catch yourself. If you start to say things to yourself to reinforce your unworthiness, catch yourself. If you start to hear your brain, your mind tell you Oh, you're not good enough. You can't have this. You can't do that. That's not for you. Anything that leads to you thinking you're not worthy, that's what you need to get out of your habitual thinking, because it's a habit of thought. All of this stuff we're talking about, it's habitual. Think about it. You probably have been thinking the same way roughly your whole life. The way you think, how quickly you think, what you think about quite often is the same. So pay attention. Don't reinforce those feelings of unworthiness. Don't believe that. Take that language that you're saying to yourself about not being worthy and switch it around and tell yourself how worthy you are, even if you're the only person on earth doing this. Even if you can't find one outside single person to validate you, you can validate you. Because again, at the end of the day, you only have you. You got to wake up with you. You got to put your head down on that pillow, go to sleep with you. You're in your own head. The experience you're having in this life actually happens inside of you. So you can control it. You can decide that the traumas and the pain and the hurt that you've experienced in the past isn't something you need to experience every single day. You're going to wake up and decide something else. Choose something else. Choose a different way to think about yourself. Choose it right now and never look back. Don't go back to it. And if you catch yourself going back to that old way of thinking, stop yourself, correct yourself, and start going forward, because it's never too late to change your mindset. Never too late to love yourself. Never too late to be proud of yourself. Never too late to understand that you got the power of choice. You can choose your life. You can choose happiness every single day, every single moment. And I'm just grateful to live this life. And I'm just grateful to be going through this experience with you, Shae. I'm so grateful for these conversations. I'm so grateful to be able to actually be myself and show myself to you, to the world, because every single one of us is special and unique and needed. And so grateful for you. So grateful for every single thing that I've been taught in this life that has led me to this point. Thank you, universe.
Thank you. I am internally grateful. This work just fuels my fire. It truly does, because what you are is what is mirrored back to you. And I just want everyone to know that notice your triggers. What is triggering you? What are those triggers that put you in those habitual thought patterns that aren't serving you? Those are the things that you can change too. You get to decide how you're going to interact with that trigger. You get to decide. You are the creator of your life. What you give is what you get. What you are is what you get.
Yes.
And so if you're somebody searching for love, searching for joy, searching for abundance, you're not going to get them until you feel that in your own body, in your own vessel, made by you.
Yes. Yes, you're worthy. You are worthy, dear listener. You are worthy. And you can have and be and feel that worthiness within inside of yourself. You just need to claim it. You just need to claim it. And then everything that emanates from you from this point on will be different. Every single thing. You've all seen the people who have their light shining. We know what those people look like. They walk in a room, their light shines so bright. And we say to ourselves, what do they have? How can we have that? And it's self-love. That's what it is. It's self-love. And this is different from your ego, okay? Because your ego compares. Your ego will judge. It judges you and others. And that's not what I'm talking about. This is an unconditional love here. This is an acceptance of yourself no matter what. This is an acceptance of others no matter what. That doesn't mean we have to allow people into our spaces that hurt us. We don't have to, and we shouldn't. But still, we have the power to react and respond, actually, not react, respond. We have the power to decide how we take all things and how we react to all things. And I'm grateful for this power. I don't know about you, but the more I know about it and the more I understand my ability to grab up my own worthiness and power, the more easy it comes. The easier I can get to that state of just knowing, of just calm, of just being alive. And I know you can get to that point. Don't give up. Never give up on yourself. Never let somebody else tell you to give up, because you have the power, dear one. You definitely do.
The more you love yourself, the more you open up your capacity to love others.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for the energy you put in, because the more you love yourself, the higher the collective consciousness gets, the easier it is for all of us to love our own self. The more we see it reflected out in our realities,
Yes.
you know? So the easier it is for all of us to get there. So thank you so much for all of the good energies that you put into this world, into this earth. I feel it, and I thank you for all of that. And it's a joy to live on this earth with you.
Yes, and I would love to just end. If you have the capacity, if you're not driving or doing another task right now, even if you are doing another task, if you can give yourself the next 10 seconds to literally hug yourself.
Right? So,
Arms around yourself. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And don't forget to breathe. Your breath is your ally. Thank you, Shannon, Mother, for this beautiful, beautiful interaction today. And thank you, listener, for being here with us. If you enjoy our podcast, please share it with a friend. Tag us, like us, comment. If there's something that you're wanting to hear us talk about, please leave that in the comments below. We love you so much. I am so grateful for this platform. I'm so grateful to be doing this with you.
So grateful to have you. Find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, find us on Apple Podcasts. Share the love for us. And we can't wait to see you next week. Thanks so much for listening.